Hello and welcome to Fyrefly Wrestling. My name is Nick and I will be your guide for this video episode, part of a series kind of, where I am fantasy booking how I would book the big pay-per-views from AEW and WWE. This one is AEW Revolution. Should be a good show this weekend. I'm looking forward to it, I think. I don't buy pay-per-views, so are we looking forward to the Cultaholic Wrestling Observer video recap, because that's how I watch these things. I'm a broke college student. How life goes. I'm fairly sure how this video is going to go. I haven't planned out as much as I normally do for these videos. I've kind of chucked together like what order I think the match is going to be in and where I think the stories are going to go from those matches. Gimmick of these is not what I think will happen. It's not even what I want to happen sometimes. It's what I think is best for business. Where have you heard that one before? This is what I think will give them the best opportunity going into Dynasty, and then the best going into All Out later this year. And Double or Nothing. The Owen Hart Cup is a mystery to me. Like, I think I've worked out 3 semi-finalists in my head, but also, one of them might still be injured. 2 of them are in a blood feud. And, like, we'll see what happens. Should be a good card, though. I do think they have put together probably one of my favourite, like, match cards to sale. This was the closest I've ever been to just buying pay-per-view, because there are some bangers on this card. And a lot of matches I think will have some unexpected results. And I've booked to have some unexpected results. So let's kick off the show. Firstly, Bandito vs Andrade. I think you want to kick off the show with a high-stakes match, but also just one that's going to get the crowd hyped. And Andrade does that right now. It feels weird to make the comparison because I don't think it's accurate, but he does feel like they're Trick Williams right now. This guy who's just come in and has made so much impact and I feel is really, truly adored right now. He has been in the main event picture, I think, at least for the meantime. He might be the most main event guy in the Don Callis family that has Okada in it. Which is more of a statement of how little they use Okada. Please use Okada more. God. Let him defend an international title against people with a name, and not just insert Ring of Honor jobber. In fairness, Andrade's opponent here is the insert not Ring of Honor jobber. It's Bandito. And this is a really fun match. It's one of those weird ones where, like, if it was happening in CMLL or AAA, it would feel like the biggest match of the year. It's a pay-per-view opener for me, but also it's a very good pay-per-view opener and should be a lot of fun. I had a lot of difficulty booking this match because I think AEW booked himself to a bit of a hole almost here. Like, you don't want Andrade using this to go win the Ring of Honor World title. It's not that valuable, and Andrade should be in the main event of AEW, not Ring of Honor. On the flip side, you don't want to stop his momentum. So you kind of have to have him win the match, but also not go on to go after Bandito in the future. So I would have him keep chasing the world title. I'll get to more what my plans for world title are when I get to the end of this, when I discuss Hangman and Page and MJF feud. But I think Andrade should be a top 5 name in AEW for a little while at least. At least until you do the Don Callis family explosion. And then he can get pulled back down into that Don Callis section, and then you can carry on from there. I realize I did not turn off pings, so you might get those a couple of times. My bad, y'all. The next match, I think of this is a very heel-centric card. I like a lot of the heels to win a lot of matches on this card. And that means you do need the ability to pop the crowd. And this match might do it. The Young Bucks are really cool and charismatic, so maybe they'll pop the crowd enough. They're not quite what I'm looking for when I'm saying pop the crowd, but I think they'll do the job well enough in my mind. FTR have been amazing champions. Love the work they're doing. They do that legend killer vibe for a little while and just become total assholes, which is great fun. The Young Bucks, this like new babyface Young Bucks is interesting. I'm a big fan of it. I like Young Bucks, face Young Bucks. I just don't think this face Young Bucks is my cup of tea. They still feel very heelish, which I just want them to be pure baby faces. Like, I know they need to have an edge, but like, they don't even have an edge. They're just grouchy, it feels. Either way, I would have FTR retain. Not because I don't want to be battling the Young Bucks, because I think there's a story of what you're doing at Dynasty. It's in Canada. And either you are running back this match, and that's when you do the return of Edge and Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. But more so, I think this is when you have Edge and Christian reunite to go after the tag team titles and win it at Dynasty. I feel like that's the perfect time to take it off FTR. Maybe you have them in the tag match. I was really thinking about like that AEW All Out card, and I feel like they're doing a great job right now of rebuilding that Trios division, and the tag division has been good, and you can make that tag division great. You have Private Party. Hurt Business will be coming in back soon, and that'll be great fun to see. I mean, spear versus spear. You have FTR still in there, you have the Young Bucks still in there, you've got Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus soon. Like, you have all the teams there, you can make this into a really, really special tag team division. Better than what WWE is doing, so like, go for that. Go lean into that aspect, and I think they'll be fine, and Dynasty is a great time to change champions and reset that division. Speaking of tag titles, you have the Trios titles. Not quite tag, but close enough. In which I missed that this happened, by the way. I didn't clock that these titles had been won by the Don Callis family. But also, let's go with Don Callis family. I love this team. Like, Aussie Open, with the worst picture of Mark Davis, because I couldn't find any better ones, and Kazuchika Okada. This team is great, and it's building to that massive Don Callis implosion that I think is going to happen around All Out. I feel like this summer, you can tell a lot of our stories. The story needs to be the Don Callis family going boom. Takeshi coming out as the babyface. I think Fletcher comes out as babyface. Nope, just not my mic. I think Okada comes out as like a mega heel. Andrade comes out as a mega heel. Mark Davis is the biggest question mark to me if he goes with Kyle or he does turn heel. I think he goes heel. He's a better heel than a face. A few other guys in the faction who I think will have interesting paths to see what they go. El Clone, I want to go face. I want El Clone Hologram as a tag team. I think that'd be one of the best tag teams in the division. On the other side, you have Jet Speed with Kevin Knight, who's amazing, Mike Bailey, who's amazing, and Mystico, who's, amazing in the ring, but everything I keep hearing about him is a nightmare behind the scenes. So, I'm not a great fan of him, which would automatically make you go, I kind of don't want to book him to win anyway. But also, don't take the titles off them immediately. These guys are great. I want these titles to be the accumulation of them destroying themselves, especially with the Trios division being rebuilt around, not really around them, but in that division. You can build into this big, like, multi-man match, they lose the titles, they all blame each other, and then you can do that kind of split. And it's a very simple way. I don't know who would put the titles on. I haven't really thought that far ahead. The Rascals are kind of like my first opinion of like, they're amazing, give them titles. I think the the Death Riders, they could be great as well, put the titles on them. And there are a few other teams lying around. I feel like a good way of viewing these Trios titles in the future should be make the tag team titles feel like the main event and the Trios titles feel like that step below. Good way of not doing like the whole like faction thing, but just doing the whole build up, and maybe you cut a member so you can be better enough to go in the tag division. And you can tell a few stories of that for a little while as well. The next match, because yet you do need babyfaces to win on this card, it's Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir. Are you a Marina Shafir fan? You've had a good run. Tony's going to kill her. Tony Storm should not lose this match under any circumstances. Tony is amazing. Tony needs to get back to the main event scene, please. I think it will fix a lot of their issues very fast. This main event scene has been doing amazing work, but it also been a two-woman feud at the top. They moved Jamie Hayter out of the division. Why? Who knows? They moved Tony Storm out of the division. Makes sense. Give her a rest. Don't want to make her feel like Cody Rhodes is right now. Mariah May should probably get somewhere around there. Willow's still stuck with the TBS title. Mercedes is gone. You need Tony in the main event. Please put Tony in the main event. Next match, because this is gonna be a rough one, and also two really terrible pictures. I do apologize. You have Brody King and Swerve Strickland. Swerve's gonna kill you, which I feel like is a fairly reasonable and decent vibe for this match. Swerve's gonna kill him. I think that's fair. Swerve is going to murder this man. I think the way I would end this match off, just personally, would be choking Brody King to death. Maybe not to death. That's illegal. choking Brody King until he nearly passes out with the steel chain. Because that sounds badass. Also, I love that the steel chain is being moved around people in AEW. Like, it's like a heirloom from like old AEW. And I feel like Swerve should lose it at All Out as well. Just to keep that kind of thing going on. Also, it feels like it's a borderline corrupting force. And then it should be treated as like a corrupting force or whatever. Also, if you're in comedy acting, they can like exercise it or something. Plans for 5 years down the line that make no sense now, but hey, could be funny if you manage to get Danhausen back. Either way, yeah, Swerve kills him. And then at Dynasty, I had a few ideas, because this is where the Owen Hart Cup tournament really comes in. Swerve is a main eventer. At All Out, you need a damn good reason he's not fighting for the world title. And he's not in my booking. I would have Swerve be in, like, I don't know if there's a match last year you can compare it to, but like the biggest non-title match on the card. Make Swerve's match feel like the biggest, most important non-title match you can add to this show. I think that's a great way of like making Swerve feel so big and so important. And I think it starts by him just murdering Kenny Omega. Like, I think Swerve should walk to Dynasty after killing Brody King and kill Kenny again. And make it more competitive almost. Make it feel like it's far closer that Kenny could have won it. I mean, it felt very close on the Dynamite match, but you can up the stakes here. Maybe make it a street fight. Because I love the idea of, I think, my dream Owen Hart Cup tournament winner is Kenny Omega. And I love the idea of him trying to go to him going to finals, maybe not with Swerve, but Swerve gets cost out of the opportunity by someone who makes the finals, and that's you building that match. That man is Will Ospreay. I think Swerve Will Ospreay at All Out has to be the plan. It's such a big name match. I feel like you can do so well building around those two. Run Kenny into whoever I have walking out in the main event tonight at All Out. That's another massive, big name match you can pull. And then you can move other people around to fit everything else in. That's probably one of the best ways. Also, because, like, you don't want to do heel versus heel with Swerve MJF. You don't want to do heel versus Hangman and Page again. Like, Swerve just should not be main eventing All Out, but it should be in a marquee match. So, I think that's the best way of booking around that kind of issue. Then let's book into the women's title match. Damn, these pictures are more clear. I need to find better renders for some of these guys. This is a cool match. I don't know. Tekla's a beast. I love Tekla. I love Stat. Her match against Charlie at Eve was amazing. And I saw so much hate on it online, but I felt like it told the story that Stat is going down really, really well. The story that Stat should be going down really, really well. Stat's embarrassed. She lost to Tekla. The woman, she didn't really believe it and didn't see as much as a threat. And then once she started waking up, she still thought she had it. She thought she had it. And then she didn't. And then Tekla beat her. And now I think she loses again. I think Tekla retains again. And that descent into madness for Statlander. Oh, she's not turning heel immediately. She's so embarrassed and she feels like she has to do so much more to win. The Charlie match where, like, she does the tombstone on Charlie and Charlie's foot, as you didn't see, Charlie's foot falls in the ropes. And it's a rope break. In Stat's mind, her character sees that and goes, she thinks that her tombstone couldn't put Charlie away. Former Dakota Kai. As well as things they should make clear. And then she drops her with 3 more pile drivers to get home very heavily. The point is, I can beat you. And I want to see that as Stat. I want to see it not work. I want to see Stat keep pushing the envelope. I don't know what the match type is. I can't remember what it is. It probably should be some sort of no disqualification, which is a shame. Because I also think a disqualification match would be fun. A match with, like, Stat lose because of disqualification would be interesting. But no, I do really believe that I think you do have Stat turn heel by All Out. I think it is at the center of the madness of not being able to get the job, not having to go further and further and further until she's become this brutal and maniacal kind of heel. Going to Dynasty, I think there's a very clear woman to face her at Dynasty. It's Toni Storm. 2 of the most charismatic women in the world. Tekla Toni Storm sounds like such a dream match we haven't had. Maybe it happened to Stardom. I don't think it has. But even so, first time in AEW would be amazing. And Toni Storm needs to win it. Give her gold back. Give her gold back going into All Out. Because I think at All Out, you're running Toni Storm versus heel Chris Statlander. And that's where you give Stat her belt back. I think it allows you to then put Willow back in the title scene and have Willow win the world title off Statlander. The women's scene is really dead right now. Please get Sheeta back in. Please bring back some of the older women who have just round out the top of division that feel like main eventers. Because they have an issue right now where they've got a really good women's division, just none of them feel like a main eventer right now. So I do think you need to just build the rest of the main event scene up quickly, but also you're not going to do that any better than when Toni Storm is the Women's World Champion. Second last match of the card. Takeshita versus Jon Moxley for the Continental Championship. This one's going to be a banger. 20-minute time limit draw. It was a great match until the draw, and then the crowd started booing, which I laughed at because draws happen, like sports and all. But no, the fact that Moxley called an audible there to have Takeshita hit him with the Raging Fire was great. It kept Takeshita feeling like heel just long enough to go into this match and walk out with the gold. Because I love that. Takeshita should get the gold. He should finally win that title. Moxley can do other things. Moxley can go build into himself being into Owen Hart Cup. Good spot for him. Maybe someone you do a Death Rider's turn on him. I think there's another match you can make a big marquee match at All Out being... I'm not sure you make as a new leader. Castagnoli feels like he's being put in a position where that would make a lot of sense. In fact, he's CMLL World Champion and everything. Would fit. I could also see Wheeler Yuta taking that spot. I think he's very charismatic and could do well there. Pac is always amazing. And AEW gets better when Pac's around. I think there's a lot of options. But going down to Takeshita reign, I would have him defend the Continental title immediately against Okada. I would have him walk out with the Continental title, but for a very explicit reason. Because I would then have at Double or Nothing, Takeshita vs Okada, Part 2. Part 3, technically. And then I would have it for the international title, in which Okada wins with the help of the Don Callis family, and that's when you do the split. That's when you turn Takeshita fully face. And then you can have Kyle choosing to join him. Maybe the TNT, if he still got the TNT title by then, I don't think he will. I doubt it, but maybe he does. And then in that case, I don't know who in the Don Callis family would be a good opponent for him. Maybe Andrade. Maybe you run Andrade, Kyle Fletcher at All Out. And Andrade walks away with the belts. But I would have them unify the belts again. Again, unify the belts at All Out. And don't de-unify them anymore. The C2 is now for the Unified Championship. That is your second main event belt from now on. Treat it like it. There was reports coming out that they wanted to make it feel like a main event belt. Then they did Okada vs Swerve. I went, it's a main event belt. Yes. Then it stopped. And then it went to Moxley in the C2. And that's cool. But Moxley didn't feel like a main eventer at that point. Which is fine. That was the point. You want to make him feel like an upper mid-carder. And then he was. And then his opponents came. And I was like, cool. I love this. I feel like this is fine. But you don't feel like you're in the main event anymore. And I feel like you can fix that. And you should. Make it feel like that second main event belt. Maybe do a roster split. Much people are going to hate that. Maybe do a roster split. You've got numbers. You're not using half your roster ever. Use them. Then in our main event, there we go. We have MJF versus Hangman Adam Page for, Triple B is what he calls it, I think. World title. It is a Texas death match, which is going to be brutal. And I can't see what horrendous things happen to Max in this match. But then you have the other stipulation. If Hangman loses, he has given his word he will not challenge for the belt. It is not a contracted stipulation. It is Hangman's word. And I think that is the most key part. MJF is winning because Hangman will never challenge for that belt again as a babyface. But eventually, year down the line, probably about a year down the line, I reckon, probably next year's All Out, Hangman's going to turn heel again. And when that happens, he's going to transfer that world title again. He's going to say, I gave you my word means nothing now. Also, then going to Dynasty, I don't know what you do with Hangman at Dynasty. Maybe you bring back Jet Set Radio. They got the trios titles. Probably the most correct thing to do. Have Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey try to remind Hangman who he is and make him feel confident again. They'll have the redemption of Hangman story kind of play out, but everyone knows it doesn't lead to a world title anymore. It leads down to the mid-card, and it's that weird thing of like, yeah, he can redeem himself, but how far, how much? I think that's a good questioning you can add to it. Then Dynasty, Jay White. I think oh, that's a terrible picture. It looks better on my screen. Jay White. I think he comes back in the Casino Battle Royale, whatever it is that Ricochet's doing in the pre-show. I think Ricochet's going to retain the belt. I didn't really talk about that. I don't care about the pre-show that much. But I think it's a great time for Jay White to come back. Have him go after Max. Because, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll be honest. This is there's no one else really to feud with Max. So, great time to move Jay White back in and bring Jay White back in. Make him feel like a top star. Have him then leading, maybe gets the, have him probably then lead a team as a trios team and whatever, doing that. He goes after some singles gold, potentially. I can see him and Ricochet having a great feud with the Demand. I think you've got some good options behind you there. Work one of them out. But this is a good little match to have Max walk away from Dynasty and walk in to All Out as the AEW World Champion. Then you've got a lot of fun things there. Hope you enjoyed my booking. I hope it was satisfactory. I hope it would have been good for business, because that's the idea. Either way, until my next video goes out, which is at some time in the future, this has been Nick. Fyrefly out. Take care, y'all.